Hello, and welcome to another episode of Walk the Dog Cinema. I and Roka are out and about, getting a nice, crisp walk in. It's a great spring morning, a little bit of overcast, but just enough chill in the air that can give you goosebumps, but not cold enough to actually wear a jacket. So it's wonderful. Just get out and about, get a nice walk in. Roka's been itching to get going. She's done quite well adjusting to everything, but here we are. And today we're still in the Street Fighter mode, and gonna review. Watched Street Fighter's Last Revenge, and to say of the three, it's an interesting one. Again, still, this one's actually a little bit easier to review if I was to like give a star rating or something like that. On one level, it's not nearly as good as the other two, but on another level it is. So all three kind of hang around each other in that kind of same zone. It's a good little trilogy to watch. It gets over fast. You know, they're not overly long. They don't overstay their welcome too much. So overall, quite enjoyable. Thinking of maybe checking out Lady Street Fighter, but today we're going to talk about Street Fighter's Last Revenge. So the Street Fighter's Last Revenge, overall, like, I enjoyed the trilogy as a whole. This movie, if you haven't watched the first two, there's really no kind of point in watching this one. I mean, if this was like your first entry into the series, you kind of be like, what's the big deal? The violence is like way toned down, and I mean way. I mean, it's kind of interesting. Like, this movie has probably the best plot and kind of the best script, and it doesn't have as many editing errors. But at the same time, all of that bogs it down. So unlike the other two, which just move at a rapid pace, it actually has some really great fight sequences. This one doesn't kind of get going until a fight sequence in a like garbage place, and even then that fight's relatively short compared to some of the other fights. And the climactic fight, though it's somewhat set up, still doesn't have Terry learn his like inner chi. He just figures it out. So they go through a sequence in the movie where he needs to find some spiritualism, and never really does that in the film, but yet he's able to beat the bad guy. So this one does certain things a little bit more over the top, and I did just kind of laugh out loud about it, and brings a smile to your face because it's just so kind of bonkers. But at the same time, like, the fights aren't nearly as good. They're adequate. It needed more of it, and you know, kind of watching it does lag in the middle, where it's kind of like, okay, let's get it going a little bit, and that's what makes it a step down from the others in that regard. You can put up with the continuity errors or little editing mistakes or whatever from the first two, just because the energy is so great. But even Sonny Chiba kind of plays Terry a little bit different here. He suddenly becomes a master of disguise, and when I say Mission Impossible ripped off the whole mask thing from this, or if they, you know, I've watched the TV series quite a bit back in the 60s one, and I don't remember them doing mask things like the new Mission Impossibles do. But this movie, it seems like Tom Cruise has seen these movies, or this movie especially, and has like taken it to a different level. So there's this mask swapping disguise spy stuff going on. Like I said, it's quite kooky, but this one has kind of a more love interest, but she's a bad guy, so it's kind of all over the place. But at the same time, still kind of an interesting film. But if you haven't seen the other two, no point in watching this one. But if you have, it's a good finish. But the interesting thing with it is you're 3 movies in, and I've heard this before a lot, like where people, it's getting boring now by the 3rd one. And it's kind of crazy because you think about it, like books will have series that go on, right? And we love being in the world, and you actually get more out of a book. Like some books, 400, 500, 600 pages could be 2 or 3 movies, but we get 2 movies, and for some reason people get bored. And you can say, well, it takes a lot more to make a movie, I guess. But this one, it's kind of like some of the other issues is what made the first 2 good, they kind of stray away from. And I don't see like changing up some of the formula or whatever, but obviously as far as the karate and the over top action that it was, and they literally like kind of disregard that in this. And so what kind of made the series kooky, they throw away and try to just be a little bit too serious, and it kind of loses its charm in that regard. So you see this throughout films, and I don't know if it's because of critics or why that happens. Yes, some movies don't need a sequel, but some movies it's kind of cool to stay in the world, so to speak. I've always I'm a big horror guy. I've always liked that the horror movies kind of stay in the genre, and yes, I get it, it's for a quick buck on a lot of times, but even then, if you really go through and you're into it, the Friday the 13th movies and the Halloween movies, and the Chucky movies and stuff, on one level there is some care taken to the characters for the most part. The first 6 Jason movies, so to speak, Friday the 13th, actually kind of try to hone in on all that. 7 and 8 and on kind of start abandoning it. But those 80s ones, they really do attempt to create this mythology, tell Tommy's story. It's kind of after that they kind of don't know where to go with it, I guess. But even like Halloween 1, 2, it tried to follow itself up in a logical manner and kind of keep the same tone. 4 and 5 do it. They dropped some things, obviously, that would have been mind-blowing, but Chucky 1, 2, and 3 kind of do. So there was action movies, like the Rambo movies, try to hang into that a little bit and play off of it. And to me, I don't get bored with the worlds if I care about it in that regard. But at the same time, it isn't just, I have to have a great script. It's just, you need a decent plot that carries stuff along. And, and it needs to stay tried and true to the characters. It's one of the reasons why, for me, Monsters University kind of sinks is it doesn't stay in the established lore just to kind of do an Animal House thing. And though the Animal House thing's kind of cool for a Pixar film, it doesn't really hold water in the universe to what we thought of Mike and Sully's relationship. And so overall, you just kind of go, it's pointless. Not that I ever don't want to visit the Monsters Inc. world, so to speak. So it's kind of interesting to see that. I don't know if Sonny Chiba was bored of the Street Fighter character. It's kind of interesting that if he was, I mean, you've only done it twice as an actor. I get it. You're doing 20, 30 days at a time in this character, but the output is an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 20 minutes. And maybe I just can't get in that headspace. You know, actors are fickle in that regard. You know, I mean, for me, I get like why Sean Connery didn't want to do James Bond. He'd already done it 5-6 times. But there, what I'm getting at is 5-6 times is quite a good run, you know. But you know, 2-3 times, I mean, you're just starting. That's just kind of where I'm coming at with that. So it's just kind of interesting how this movie kind of loses its footing in that regard. We don't get the wild facials that that Sonny Chiba does with Terry. We don't, you know, which made it kind of fun. He keeps the same fighting style and everything, so he's very in continuity with that. But, you know, there's just really one sequence where they kind of get a little bloody. But, you know, in that part, it's a little bit disappointing. So I get why people say it fizzled out and everything, because on one level it does. You know, it's just they try to do something else with it. And I think 3 movies in, you kind of don't have to yet. Maybe after the 3rd, you know, if it's more of the same in one sense, you know, you got to kind of figure that out in film, right? What's working, what's not. And, you know, I get, you know, prior, you know, they want to lay it all on because, you know, we get kind of spoiled. We have Scream that kind of told us all the rules, you know, about movies and their sequels and all that stuff. But prior to that, you know, that wasn't all there. And that meta and things really hadn't built up yet. Scream came at a perfect time to kind of play around with that. I get that. But if you look back even from then to this day and age, I mean, Godzilla just keeps going. And why do people keep revisiting it is there's some familiarity, whether it's good or bad, you know. And the good ones are always where it keeps Godzilla tight. Same with Gamera, you know, really knows the mythology and goes with it. And, you know, you can still get a great movie from stuff that people know. So kind of interesting in that regard. Just kind of some thoughts that were going in my head while this movie was going on. You know, it's kind of interesting. This movie has like even nudity in it. I guess the main girl was part of the Pinky Girl movement thing going on. I'm not too familiar with that genre, but it's kind of like the Roger Corman genre that Pam Grier was going in with the prison movies and things like that, where they're like badass women who run around naked kicking everybody's ass. So it's kind of strange, but you know, that was the 70s, exploring all sorts of like exploitation stuff and just kind of really getting out there in Gonzo land. But I guess she was pretty popular in the 70s, big star for Toy, along with another actress that isn't in this one, but she's a good kind of foil for Terry. It's just kind of interesting that no one like responds to her double crossings enough, but she gets hers at the end, so it's kind of interesting in that regard. But it is kind of weird to see that the movie really like kind of goes there with some of the nudity. So depends upon what your thing is with that. But overall, enjoyable series. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. Like to hear your thoughts. And if you like what you see, please subscribe. Talk movies. Have a good one, everyone.